It all started on a Friday evening. I had just finished my shift at the construction site, muscles aching, boots caked in dust, when I walked through the front door and found Emily sitting at the kitchen table with a smirk that made my stomach twist. The aroma of leftover dinner hung in the air, but I barely noticed. Something in her eyes told me that this wasn't going to be just another ordinary conversation. I set down my tool bag and wiped my hands on my jeans. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my tone casual. She didn't respond immediately, just kept staring at me, her fingers tapping lightly on the edge of the table. Then she leaned back, crossed her arms, and said the words that froze me in my tracks. "I'm pregnant," she said. "By your brother." For a moment I couldn't process it. My mind reeled, juggling disbelief, confusion, and a bizarre sense of detachment. I blinked a few times and then almost instinctively laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a sarcastic one, but a deep, incredulous laugh that carried through the room. She narrowed her eyes. "Why are you laughing? Don't you?" "Wait," I interrupted, holding up a hand. "Oh, you haven't heard that yet." Her smirk faltered, and I could see the doubt creeping in. "What do you mean?" I leaned against the counter, crossing my arms, letting the silence stretch just enough to make her uncomfortable. "I mean," I said slowly, "that maybe the story isn't as simple as you think it is. Maybe there's more to this than you understand." She looked down at her hands, fidgeting. I don't understand what you're saying." I sighed, shaking my head. "You think you've got me cornered, Emily, but let me tell you something. I already knew about the messages, the little trips, the late nights you worked at the office. I knew about the way you looked at him when you thought I wasn't paying attention. And now you bring me this bombshell, expecting me to react the way you want." She blinked rapidly, as if trying to read my expression. I just thought you should know," she said softly, almost pleadingly. I laughed again, but this time it was softer, more deliberate. "Know what? That you've been lying to me? That you've been sneaking around, hiding things you shouldn't? I already know. And the part you're missing," I paused, letting the words sink in, "is that you underestimated me. You always did." Her lips parted slightly, disbelief written all over her face. The audacity of the moment was almost cinematic. I could see the fear starting to replace the arrogance she usually carried. I took a slow step closer, letting my presence fill the room, and said quietly, "You think you can throw this at me and I'll crumble? You think this is going to break me? No, Emily. You should have known better than to think I'd ever be caught off guard." Her eyes widened, and for the first time I saw genuine panic there. She opened her mouth to say something, but I raised a finger, stopping her mid-sentence. "Save it," I said. "I don't need excuses. I don't need your sob story. What I need is honesty. And for the record, you're already too late for that." Emily's hands trembled slightly as she folded them in her lap. I just didn't know how to tell you," she whispered. "I thought, maybe you'd understand." I chuckled softly, shaking my head. "Understand? Emily, there's nothing to understand here. You've been playing a game, and now you're surprised that I'm not playing along. You thought I wouldn't see the signs, the texts, the little lies you tried to pass off as normal. But I saw it all." She swallowed hard, and her voice grew more urgent. "Please, I wanted to make sure you knew before it went too far." I leaned against the counter, studying her like I had for 8 years, trying to find any trace of the woman I thought I knew. The Emily I saw now was someone entirely different, calculating, bold, and reckless. And yet, a hint of vulnerability flickered in her eyes. "You think telling me now changes anything?" I asked softly. "You think this confession wipes away months, maybe years of lies?" She shook her head, almost imperceptibly. I didn't mean for it to get like this." I smiled, but it was sharp, cold. "You never do you?" I said. "Every time. You spin a story to cover yourself. Every time it's someone else's fault, someone else's mistake. And now your brother? That's the big finale." Her lips quivered, but she didn't answer. She couldn't. She knew she'd gone too far this time. I walked around the counter and stood directly in front of her, towering over her but keeping my voice calm. "You thought this would hurt me the most, but you were wrong. You wanted me to feel betrayed, devastated, maybe even desperate. And yet here I am, standing, watching, listening." The tension in the room was suffocating. I could hear the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of traffic outside, but everything else faded. This was our world now. Emily, her confession, and me, fully aware of everything she had tried to hide. I lowered my voice, letting each word land with precision. I'm not angry in the way you expect. I'm not screaming or begging or crying. I'm simply disappointed. Because I believed in you, Emily. I trusted you. And what did that trust earn me? A joke? A betrayal? A twisted punchline at my expense? She flinched, and I knew that even her bravado, the one she carried like armor, was cracking. I didn't know you'd react like this, she stammered. I laughed quietly again, but this time it had a hollow edge. React like this? I echoed. This is nothing. Wait until I show you that your little stunt, your big reveal, is actually the start of something much bigger. Something you won't be able to control. Emily's face went pale, and her hands gripped the edge of the table as if it were the only thing keeping her steady. I could see the panic rising, and I let it sit there for a moment. No interruptions, no explanations, just the weight of her actions pressing down in the room. Do you realize what you've done? I asked quietly, my voice low but carrying an unmistakable authority. You didn't just cheat. You didn't just lie. You tried to weaponize a family bond to throw me into chaos. And for what? A thrill? Attention? Revenge? She swallowed hard, struggling to find words. I thought maybe you'd forgive me. I thought. I shook my head, cutting her off. Forgive you? Emily, you crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. You underestimated me, underestimated the way I see people, the way I understand the truth. And now it's too late for anything but consequences. Her lips trembled, and her usual sharpness was gone. Consequences, she whispered. Yes, I said, stepping closer, letting the words hit her like a cold wave. Consequences for every lie, every secret, every time you thought I wouldn't notice. You wanted me to crumble? You wanted me to beg or plead? You wanted me to feel powerless? Wrong. I'm not that man anymore, Emily. I see clearly now. I took a deep breath, letting the room grow heavy with silence. You've set your own trap. And now you're inside it. Her hands fell limp at her sides, and I could see the fear settling in. The smirk, the arrogance, the casual indifference, all gone. For the first time in years she looked small, vulnerable, exposed. I don't know what to do, she admitted finally, her voice barely audible. I smiled faintly, cold and measured. Here's what you do, Emily. You face what you've created. You own every mistake, every deceit, and you realize that nothing you can say will erase the damage. Not today. Not ever. She looked down, shaking, and I felt a strange mix of pity and satisfaction. Years of trust, of love, of shared life had been broken in an instant, and there was nothing left but the rubble. I turned away, heading toward the living room, letting the weight of my presence and words linger in the kitchen. As I sank into the armchair and picked up the remote, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Emily knew exactly what had happened, and more importantly, she knew I had already won. Not in anger, not in revenge, but in understanding. Understanding that the truth, no matter how shocking or humiliating, always has the final word. She had thrown the ultimate bomb, expecting me to break. Instead, I laughed. I laughed because the power was never hers to take, and it never would be. In the quiet of the house, I finally let myself exhale. The chaos she had tried to ignite had fizzled against the reality she refused to see. I was the one in control. And from that moment on, Emily's revelation wasn't a weapon against me. It was the very thing that proved how untouchable I had become.